Good afternoon. My name is Juan Lopez. I live over in Spring Lake. We purchased the property about 2 years ago, so we're newbies. I'm from St. Louis. The reason I'm interested in running is that we've only been here for a couple of years, but we love this place. And one of the reasons we purchased here was because of the lakes and being close to St. Louis. I have four grandkids that are spending a lot of time here with us, and I'm worried about the lakes. I'm worried about the quality of the water, and I'm worried about the safety of my grandchildren. And that was one of the main reasons I wanted to run. And then I own property in a couple other places, and I think that this is one of the best places to retire. I'm going to retire at the end of the year. I'm doing some consulting now. I really believe in budgeting rather than surprises. And I've heard a lot of different things about the community, very positive. And I'm hoping to be able to help manage this thing and improve it and make it a dream place for myself and my family. Thank you.
What's your name again?
Juan, J-U-A-N, Lopez, L-O-P-E-Z.
What? What's your name?
I'm sorry?
What's your name again?
Juan, J-U-A-N, Lopez, L-O-P-E-Z.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'm interested.
Electrocute everything.
Oh, you're good.
I'm Denny Schwantner, and I've been a homeowner here since 2011, been a property owner since 1988. So I've been on the board off and on for the last 10 years. I think I've served as vice president and a couple of chairs of ACC and roads and so forth. And I'd like to get back to doing like we used to do before and having a lot of committees, having a membership, being part of the committees. I don't think we've been having enough of that going on lately. So I want to get back into the groove of things, and I hope that all of you show up and do your voting. Thank you very much.
And your name?
Denny Schwantner. Denny Schwantner.
Okay. He's good. He's the guy who fixes our road.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming out on this hot day. My name's Elaine Hayes. My husband is Tom. We moved in 2009, so 16 years we've been here. Have pretty much remained active with POA and HOA as far as committees and just activities through the community, and like different things like the family picnic and Halloween, Easter egg hunt, and Christmas with Santa is all open to all of Raintree, and we've enjoyed kind of helping out in the community with those types of events. If you know my husband Tom, he's maintenance for 14 years here and retired last September.
Oh, that's your husband?
That's my husband.
I didn't.
So I'm Tom's wife, anyway. And I think an increase is definitely necessary. I think committees within the community, depending on where is your passion, like is security your passion, is lakes your passion, those types of things. I'd like to see more people coming into communities with ideas and solutions as well. I'm open to everybody, hearing everybody and what they have to say, and I'm just going to be a representative of the community. And my background is in finance, so possibly help in that manner as well. So I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michael Martin, and I also want to thank everybody for coming out. It is pretty hot today. I'll talk pretty quick. I have a lot to say, but I'll try and make it as short as possible. I was in law enforcement for 31 years. I retired back in 2000 as a lieutenant in St. Louis County. I retired I opened a bakery for my sister. It's thriving in O'Fallon, Missouri. It's been there 5 years. During that time, in 14 months, I bought 128 acres in Waynesville, Missouri, and I built a house. It took me 14 months to do that. I was happy-go-lucky, and COVID hit, and I decided I'd give back to the community. Started to become a bus driver for Arnold School District, and that lasted about 4 months, and I couldn't handle the parents and the kids. So I left doing that, and then I was found by a headhunter and asked to be an operations manager for a large tree company. So I work for a multi-million-dollar company out of Memphis. We cut all the ash and hazard trees for the city of St. Louis. We have about 7,700 trees I'm trying to take down right now with 4 crews. I also cut down all the emergency trees for St. Louis County. We moved in Raintree back in July. My wife, as my better half, is right there. I was happy. I thought she was. We lived off 55 in Merrimack Bottom. And one day she said, I want to move. And I said, where? And she said, I want to move somewhere where I feel like I'm on vacation. And I'm like, Florida? She goes, no. So I said, well, I don't know what to do. And I said, let me think about it. So Phil Munsterman, who lives here, he is a good friend of mine. And I was talking to him the very next day, told him what our situation was. He goes, why don't you come to Raintree? That's where I live. So we set sail, took a couple weeks, came out here, we found a house. July of last year we moved there, or I should say we closed on it. We gutted the house, moved in there at the end of August. I didn't know anybody in the community. I went up to the POA, and on the parking lot there were some people up there rousing around saying that vote no on everything, and also that, you know, it's the power of 5 because there weren't transparency on the board. I took it hook, line, and sinker, and it's my bad, but I didn't know anybody to really understand what was on the ballot. I felt at that time if I voted no, it would probably be a better thing, because if it was a yes vote, it could come the next year once I got better understanding of it. But I felt if you voted yes and it passed, you couldn't go backwards. Then the people that were on there were stating that there was no transparency in the board. And I'm thinking, well, that's something that's really important to me, that the people should have transparency. Through the last year, 9 months of the last 12, I've attended 9 of the board meetings. I watched via Linda's recordings 3 of the ones that I missed. And to be honest with you, I have a lot on my plate, as you can imagine. I'm a mover and a shaker, I don't stop. And I was talking to my wife, she goes, well, you need to get involved. She said, this is crazy. She said, we moved here because of the lake and the beauty and everybody else that lives in here. You got to do something, because we're truly in our last home. I'm not moving again. So the reason I wanted to move, or the reason why I wanted to get on the board, is to have more community involvement. Throughout my career as a law enforcement officer, that's what I did that. Neighborhood watch programs I started. I think that's what we need here. We need community engagement. We need people to come up. We need to start by getting some of the people on the past boards up, so we're not making the same mistakes 6 and 8 months down the road and figuring out what we're doing. I think we need to have that talk, have people come in. There's just a lot of things that we can do as a community. I think everybody needs to do a little soul searching. I know social media is killing everybody in here, because some people are yay, some are nay. Some people say some really crazy stuff on there, and I kind of chuckle when I read it, thinking they don't mean it, they're just trying to get a rise out of somebody. I think everybody in here has a voice. I think it's important for everybody here to come to these meetings and come up to the POA, voice your opinion, and let us know what it is. And I will tell you this, if I'm elected on the board, every time I vote, I don't care if you have to call me at home or you want me to put it on social media, I'll tell you how I vote. I'm not going to hide behind how I vote, and it's bigger than Mike Martin. If there's issues here, 3/4 of the people wanting something, and I don't feel that that's what I want, I'm going to go the other way. Because you people are instilling me to vote for you, and by me getting up there and going to these meetings and having information, it's up to me to transcend that and go back to you and tell you what I know. And if you still don't formulate the opinion I think, I have to go with the crowd. So that's all I have. I appreciate everybody coming out, and thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Deb Anderson, and I know a lot of faces out there. I've moved in January 2002, and I've spent many years on the HOA board and 8 years on the POA board, most of which that time I was also working full-time. And the job that I had was managing teams of 401k projects. Like I managed 3 plans for Alcoa, Penny's plan, Target, necessarily giant plans, big money. Project management was my job, and managing people was my job. A lot of dollars and cents, a lot of attention to detail. And so those are the skills that I bring. I spent 6 years as secretary on the POA board and 1 year as treasurer. And one of the things that I started as secretary, I started all the emails that have become so useful in communicating with you all. I got us going on the Facebook page. So the POA had a Facebook page where information could be shared out. The monthly newsletters, a Raintree Roundup, which if I am able to be back on the board in that role, I want to go back to the newsletters every month where you all have a chance to ask questions and we answer them. We answer the questions. So I would appreciate your vote. I would appreciate that we all get back to being a team again and we can have peaceful meetings and everybody leaves with their questions answered. So, thank you.
Linda, you were on it faster than I was.
We're going to flip them out to the
Hello, my name is Joe Kellett. I've been a resident here about 5 years. I grew up in Webster Groves, but up in St. Louis, but I've lived around. What's that? Oh, Mike, I'm sorry. But I've moved around a lot of places. I've lived a lot of different places. And ultimately, I'm here at Raintree. And as one of the other gentlemen said, I think this is my last home. The reason I threw my name into the hat is I think that my skill set and experience actually intersect pretty well with Raintree's needs right now. My career, more than 35 years, I was a designer and did design and construction of dams, roads, sewer systems, and water pipes for the Corps of Engineers. Did them. If you're familiar with Lake Wapapello or Mark Twain Lake, or Carlisle or Wren, they're all pretty similar to what we have here at Raintree. You have a dam with a system of roads in and around the dam, along with sewer systems and, of course, water systems, and you're concerned also about the quality of the water in the lake. So I have experience in all those things, both as a designer and a constructor. But where I think I really help out is I was a manager for the Corps for many years. And in that role, I was the head of all the project managers, actually the head of the St. Louis office here. And we not only did the design and construction, but we did the planning on how we were going to maintain those lakes and the roads and the sewer lines in them. And we did it all on a very, as you can imagine, on a limited budget. So we had to lay out a plan that was not only a year plan, but it was 5 years, it was 25 years to figure out how we were going to keep all of that infrastructure moving forward. So here at Raintree, what I saw, I've been a little bit involved. They asked me to look at the dams a couple of times on different issues there. What I found is that in general, our dams are very well constructed, very well designed, very well constructed, and generally in good shape. You want to make sure you stay that way, because if you do have a problem with the dam, it's generally a very, very expensive problem. I'm sure we'd have sticker shock in that regard. Where the focus, I think, of the board has been, and previous boards, and I'd just like to follow up on that, is our roads are in very poor condition. If you understand the design of roads, normally roads like these, asphalt roads, are designed with a 25-year life. So we're past that 25-year life of when they were originally constructed. And then the next 25, the 25 between 25 and 50, you slowly but surely watch those roads deteriorate away until you really have something that you need a four-wheel drive or something with high clearance to drive on. And right now, you can see when you drive around everywhere we have what's called alligator cracking in the road. It looks like an alligator's back. That's the first indication that you've had a base failure and it needs to be addressed. So in my mind, that is one of the most important issues here at Raintree. I know it doesn't sound very sexy, but in fact, that's where our money is going. So I'm interested in how do we do it on the budget that we have, make the repairs that we have, and have a plan that goes out. The other area where I think I could potentially help the board is in our sewer system and our water system. Not so much our water system, but certainly our sewer system. As we construct more and more houses here, we're gonna overcome the capacity of our sewer system, and that's on us. So we need to have a master plan in place that shows how much more we can build and what impact it has on our infrastructure as we build those houses. So those are the kinds of things that I think I would bring to the table. And you know, I would say, just in wrapping it up, that the whole reason you have an HOA or a POA is because we have common needs, and then we have common expenses. And those common expenses here, the big ones that we're spending our money on, are the dam, the roads, the sewers, not quite there yet, and the water lines. So in my mind, that's the main thing, and the main thing is to keep the main thing, and focus on where we're spending our money. So thanks very much, and if you're elected, I'll be happy to serve. Thank you.
What's your name again?
Joe Kellett. Kellett.
Thank you. Okay, if any owner has a question, we would ask that you come about here. It'll be on video. You'll address either the whole base of candidates or a specific person. And then I just ask that if you have a question, start queuing up. You know, come up here so that we don't spend a lot of time waiting for people to come up. Introduce yourself as well, please. State your name.
Okay, I got a couple questions. My name is Robert Tarlin. I got two questions. Who's all in favor of the ATVs and the UTVs? Raise your hand if you're in favor of the UTVs in here. So you're all against UTVs, correct? Now, this
Hold the mic close to your mouth.
this is for Joe Kellett. You just said that all the dams is in good shape. Now, on June 13th, you gave a report to the board that the Summer Lake Dam and Spillway was like a farm pond required some maintenance, and it would, and the water going over the dam was normal. Well, I didn't have a chance to respond that night. Okay, I'm responding now. First of all, I agree with that Summer Lake Dam as a pond, but what you did not calculate is the flash flooding. Now you got 600 and some odd hundred acres of watershed. Who knows? Anybody here knows what a watershed is? Huh? Sure. Okay. Well, you got 600 and some odd acres of watershed that can drain in that pond, and that causes flash flooding over the spillway, which is too small. The spillway, concrete spillway, is only like 49 feet wide by like 4 inches thick. Okay. You need something more like 200 feet, and the side's about 15 to 20 inches high. And that's, anyway, and you gave no calculations for the spillways, either or, and you gave no reason why it was washing out, I don't believe. And so that's my,
Do you have a
and I got one more,
specific question?
yeah, I got one more thing to say. And when you gave your report, now I could be wrong, I think you gave it, I think you was doing it for the board. I think you were doing the board a favor. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
So you weren't doing I'm done.
I don't want to go on and on about it, but it kind of basically boils down to that. If you look at Summer and Winter Lake, actually, if you look at the three lakes here, the designers were very smart. They put them on three different tributaries so that there's not one below the other, except it's summer and winter. And what I believe they really intended to do was to have just the lower dam there and have one lake. But in order to do that, they were going to have to build the dam significantly higher. So what they essentially did was put a weir halfway through to hold back that water behind it. So that's why over there that dam is different from the other three. The other three all have a drop inlet, that does not. That type of dam that they put in is fairly ubiquitous. You do see it on a lot of farm ponds. And I didn't do any calculations, admittedly, but I know the era in which that dam was designed. And that was designed about the time that national regulations and state regulations had come along on the design and construction of dams. And at that point in time when that was designed, the Missouri DNR, which actually, I don't know how they are today, but in the past they're a very fine engineering organization, they would have permitted that and they would have looked at that design. What that design would have required is something called the PMF, the probable maximum flood. So essentially you build the dam to the level you want your lake to be, and then on top of that you put something that can handle the probable maximum flood. I know how those calculations are. I saw what you showed, but that is actually not how they would have done it. An engineer would have done something. They would have based it off of something called the probable maximum precipitation, which is a Noah's Ark type of rain. And then they would have routed the flood down and over the dam. That's why I have some confidence that that spillway will actually handle larger flows. And I'm sorry if I go on too much longer, but I would say one more thing about that. The one part where I do share your concern, the more you build in that watershed, in that upland, the faster you get runoff coming down to that dam. So there is an outside potential that you could overwhelm that dam the more development you have up there, and if you get a much larger storm. So, but at this point in time, I think that dam is actually, it does need maintenance, but not significant maintenance. So, sorry, a little long.
You're good. And again, state your name.
Thank you. I'm Janae Kreitner. So a lot of you touched on transparency, but I'm curious to know, what does transparency look like to each of you? So this is for the whole panel here. What systems would you put in place so that we do feel like we have a voice in the community and that we know what's going on the board?
Who wants to respond?
For me, I think I broke out and said, for transparency, I believe that the people who vote need to make sure that their vote is disclosed to everybody in the community. That's being transparent. That's letting you know I vote for you, and if you don't like the way I vote for you, then it's up to you to get the rest of the folks and get me out. I think that's number one. Number two, as far as transparency goes, I think the board needs to be more forthcoming. We don't have a budget this year. Did anybody get a budget? Did anybody have a copy of the budget? How do you run this is a $1 million company that we're running with volunteers, and we need a budget. Okay, a lot of the folks that are on the board are common people that either own a business, work for a business, have financial degrees, whatever. Everybody on the board needs to have some kind of direction. I believe in structure, direction, and accountability. I think that you have to give structure, direct people the way to go, and you hold them accountable. And I think that's what develops transparency within everybody on there. At least that's my take on it. And I can't do it alone. Whoever gets in there, the people that get in there, if they re-vote a president, I think it's up to that president. People want to be led by good leaders. And I think whoever the president is, the vice chair or vice president, they're going to lead the rest of the board in that direction. And obviously you folks are here today and we hear it. And you could say it all you want, because I looked at the card from last year, about 3 hours ago, and it said that they were going to, vote for transparency. That's why I'm up here. There was no transparency in my mind. So it's a great question, and I think that the rest of us I haven't talked to Mr. Lopez, but I'm sure he feels the same way, and I'm sure you do too.
I've managed 10 different factories around the world. And the most important thing is communications and making sure that everybody understands what the plan is. And the most important part of a plan is understanding the financials and the budgeting. He's right on. One of the things in 2 years that I've been here, I don't know where our money goes. I don't know how we budget. I don't know what happens. And people don't trust the board because of that. So I think a monthly newsletter, I think a monthly budget, like I said, I own properties in other places. I get a monthly report with projects, what the budget is. First we do an annual budget, and then you get a monthly budget showing where the money's going, because things happen. And you have to fix those things. But it's good to know that they were fixed, and it's good to know how much they cost. And the little time that I've been here, I've heard about, I've heard about doing a bathroom down here. I heard about the roads. I've heard about, I'm not here full time. I hear bits and pieces, but then nothing happens. And there's no communication. Why or why not? And at the end of the month, nobody knows what happened. So with my companies, I do a monthly newsletter. We have a budget. We review the budget. If we go over budget, why and where, and how we fix it. Very simple. Thank you.
So I appreciate the question. For me, there are a couple things. Transparency, like I said before, is communicating on a regular basis, giving people a chance to ask questions and get answers to their questions. It's having, for example, a financial report at our meetings that actually discusses the money that came in and went out, and having a treasurer who understands how to read the report and shares it out. The financial reports that we've been getting aren't all that comparable to the reports that we were getting before. It's hard to compare before and after. Thank you for taking that B for me. Okay. And things like in the newsletter that just came out, there's a financial plan in it. There's a planning document that none of us who come to the meetings every month have heard anything about this. It's like it just was created for the purpose of putting it in the newsletter. So I don't think that's how it should be done. People had no chance for input there. So anyway, I could talk about this a long time, but I'll stop. Who wants to be next?
Okay, transparency is a subject. And I mentioned earlier about forming the committees again like we had it in the past. We always had about 9 committees. The chair people would give their reports every month at the board meetings, and they would submit their report to the membership. It would be part of the meetings. Getting the membership, like yourselves, involved with these committees is very important. Living with a budget is another transparent thing, obviously. I had to do that for 27 years of management in the Postal Service. Don't throw things at me now, okay? But I was the operations manager at the Fenton Post Office for 8 years, and I had 80 employees, and we handled, we serviced 45,000 population in Fenton, and that was 25 years ago, so there's probably much more than that now. But we had to submit budgets to our higher level managers every year, and we had to live within that budget. If we didn't, I don't get a pay raise. I may even be removed from my position. So I know what it's like to be under a little bit of pressure. Motivating your employees was the big issue with me, having them work for me and work instead of working against me. And we need to do that with our membership here at the subdivision. We need to all work together on that. So, anybody else have a comment?
State your name.
Andrew Huber. Whoa, sorry. I'm ex-military, so I talk very loud. On kind of going off of what you just said there, and this goes to all of you guys, what is your recommendation? What is your ideas of getting people motivated to become part of a committee or be part of this community? I keep hearing, we're not a community, we're not this, we're not that. So real quick, what is your idea of motivating us to be part of this? And I know you're going to have a good one.
No, actually, I'm just going to be honest. So being honest, half the people care, half the people don't care. Let's be honest. There's people that just don't want to be involved, and there's people that want to be involved. But what's important to me is communicating to everybody. Even those people that do not want to be involved, they need to trust me and trust the board and trust us. And the way to do it is through communications. The more you communicate, the more you celebrate, the more involvement you get. It's that simple. So to me, I believe that if we do a good job communicating, if we do a good job showing results, people want to see results and people get involved when good things happen. Some people. Other people do not. I'm going to be honest, I've seen it. I used to have meetings, and people, at 5 o'clock, people will get up and leave. And my managers will get upset, and I say, no, don't get upset. If those people ever complain that I don't communicate, I'm going to say stay after 5. And that's a true story. Thank you.
I'd like to say I agree but disagree. I think there's probably 75% of the people gripe and complain about what's going on, and probably a quarter of those people actually give a care, because those are the people who are trying to get involved. I think it's important to bring in, like I said in the very beginning, past board members, people that have been on the board, people that have been on committees, people already have shown that they want to be involved. I think we need to reach back out to some of those folks, find out what worked for them, what didn't work for them, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel 10 or 11 months from now and be in the same spot we're in now. People like winning. Everybody likes to win. So we need to show the naysayers because of certain things aren't working. And I'm not picking on anybody, but if you don't like the way the lake was this year, then we need to get off our rear ends and do something about it. And I think if we change the complexity of the lake, we change the roads, once you do that, people are going to get engaged and go, oh my God, the board that's on there, let's get involved. They're winning. The same way with the lakes, the same way with the infrastructure throughout. You know, I come down the main drag down Collin Drive, and there's a couple of folks walking yesterday, and I was with my wife, and I said, be careful. She was driving. I know that's scary, but my wife was driving. As she's driving, I said, be careful. I didn't see them. They come around the bush. They're walking right up the main drag. There's only 2 ways. I said, you know what would be kind of cool is if we took all those rotten bushes out and they put a walkway the center of that, where people could walk up Collin Drive and they could walk back down. That's thinking outside the box. And when you start doing stuff like that, when we can afford it, I think that you're going to get more people engaged. And one other thing that we didn't bring up earlier, but I think it's very important, I think as far as the money goes. We're quick to ask people to throw money at us. Give us money, raise your taxes, raise your taxes. I think what we need to do is have meetings and have people come in, and we have some of the best and most brilliant people here that don't get up and talk. I think they need to be involved, and we need to resolve and use every bit of everything we have to try and find out how we can fund the roads and stuff with the property that we have within the community. I said it, but it's been said way before me about creating a parking place for boats and for trailers. I mean, we have rules that you're not supposed to be parking in front of your houses. And I get that people don't want to pay hundreds of dollars a month, but we have the property. It's been brought up by numerous different people. I don't know why we don't try and do that right off the bat. And that way we could generate funds, earmark them for the roads. You know, there's an interesting article that just came out on Thursday that said that Jefferson County, Oak Valley, had Jefferson County take over their roads. They came in and Jefferson County didn't really do what they were supposed to. They let the roads kind of lapse, and then like $934,000. Well, at the end of this year, then Jefferson County's walking away from them. They're basically on their own. And in the letter, it said between $25,000 to $30,000 a mile to repair the roads. And we have 40 miles. So if you start doing the math, you know, that's just to repair them. That's not to replace them. You have to start thinking outside the box. We need to figure out a way to create revenue, a revenue stream that's a constant for us, instead of just keeping asking people for money every time. If you exhaust all those avenues, then you don't have a choice. And that's just my thought on that.
How old were the old people walking down the road?
And what's older? Older than me.
Good answer.
Involvement, right? Community involvement, right? Isn't that part of
Oh, how do you make people want to be involved? Sorry, I got lost in that. Well, I think one way is to promote and encourage people to, if they don't come to the POA meetings, at least watch them at the time they're happening or afterwards, where they're easily accessible. Because then they get an idea of what's going on and they say, oh, I have an opinion about that. I want to say something. And maybe they come so that after the next meeting they can get up in the open forum and make a statement about it. And I think it's really important that our open forum give people a chance to actually get their question out and get an answer back in their allotted time. I think the more people know, the more they're going to want to know and get involved. So, and I think the questions in the monthly newsletter, where we give people a chance to submit questions and the board responds, and that's it's a great way to share information and find out what's all on your mind. If you don't want to come to the meeting, at least let us answer your questions.
Okay, getting folks involved. The last position I had on the board was chairperson of the Roads Committee. I was lucky to have 8 or 9 folks who would come to the meetings, and I assigned each one of them an area of the community, and they would report each month the roads that were damaged, which ones were getting worse than what they were before. At the end of the year, we would get together and we would decide what roads in each of the sections is the worst, because we only had a limited amount of money. You're lucky to have $200,000 a year for roads. So that's what our basic plan was, just to spend about $200,000 a year. So we went with the worst roads we could find, and unfortunately, it created a list about like this. We wound up doing a list like this because of the money situation. If you want the roads fixed the way they should be fixed, if you want the coves dredged, you want the lakes worked on, honestly, folks, you're going to have to open up your purse strings, your pocketbooks, your checkbooks. It's not going to get done on the amount of money that we're paying right now. And I'm just trying to be honest with y'all. So.
As far as getting people involved, it is going to meetings, as boring as those are. It is, if you can't make the meeting, to maybe watch at least some of the meeting. I know it's hard to watch those long meetings. But also, big thing is the committees and welcoming people to come and share your ideas and share your thoughts in those committees, because I think that they've gotten away from committees. There's really no committees right now, so, or there may be one, but the thing is, be welcoming, and then at the meetings as well, welcome questions and have a dialogue and answer, not just your 2 minutes is up and we're not going to answer you and go on to the next, that kind of thing. It needs to be a open communication, and that's how you get people to want to be there. That's it.
That reminded me when I heard the other folks talking about what happened to me when I was a coach. I used to coach high school sports. When I first got involved in high school sports, I had the athletic director come to me and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. A third of the people are going to love you no matter what you do. A third of the people are going to be so-so about you, and a third of the people are going to hate you. So your job is to keep the third that hates you away from the third that doesn't really care about you. So I think if you apply that, I think you probably see that in every single community. There's just a small group that actually wants to get actively involved or can get actively involved. If you're raising kids and you got a job, it's pretty tough to get actively involved. What I found through working for the Corps of Engineers, we had a very public planning process, is you have to start by gathering information of ideas, what people want. Then with your small committee, you put something together, a straw man of what the plan might be. You put that back out for more comment. Comes back, you develop that a little further. So it's an iterative process where till you finally arrive at a plan that's generally accepted by the community. It'll never be 100% accepted by the community. That's probably as close to the correct answers you're going to get. So again, it goes back to community involvement, but it has to be in a slow process in which you can show the community something that they can actually react to.
And I would like to add, it's Linda Camden, I thought, now again, I was highly involved with them, but I thought the town halls allowed that kind of input from the owners to share different ideas and have discussions, and so I would like to see town halls come back.
Hi, I'm Sharon Wingren. I live just down the road in West Vista. I have 3 questions. First one, not for you guys, but I'm curious, are any of the standing board members here, the current board members? And if you are, can you stand and tell us how long do you still have left in your term? If you want to say it, I can repeat it for the video.
Mine's Kent Campbell. I have another year on it.
Okay, cool. So Kent Campbell with 1 more year on the board.
David Bowden, Security and Technology, and I've had 9 months on them. That's it.
Okay, so David Mums, is it? Okay, he's got a week left. Okay, thank you so much. Is that it?
David Bowden.
David Bowden, thank you so much. Okay, so thank you for that. I just wanted to check in. Next question for any and all of you, and this is my second of 3. What are your thoughts on how things are going with CPM, and would you want to continue that relationship with CPM, the management partner, I can't remember the exact terminology, but the community property management. Yeah.
Like I said, I have a lot of history here, and I am in favor of having a management company because it's really hard for a board that's made up of volunteers who will be here for varying amounts of time to manage a staff who feels like they're going to be here longer than you are, so they're really in charge. And I think we need a stronger board management. I want to be the person. I want to be the person who reaches out and works with CPM. And each member of the board, to some degree, will probably work with CPM, but I would like to be the one to coordinate with them to make sure things get communicated timely, and to make sure that the items that the board needs are being communicated timely so that the board can share that information out as they need to. We've heard a lot of, oh, CPM didn't do that, or CPM failed to do that, but what we aren't hearing is the backstory of, oh, we didn't authorize it in time for CPM to do what they were supposed to do. And I've heard both sides of that. So I'm in favor of our having a management company.
I spoke earlier and I touched on it. Wasn't my idea, but networking and talking to different individuals. I did talk to a very intelligent gentleman that kind of explained to me what CPM was compared to what it's not. And my formulated thought process was this. The last board that left for whatever reason, I don't know any of the folks that were on that board, they left. And when they left, they were trying to get a management company in here. Whether it was CPM or it was a different company, they were trying to get somebody in here because they didn't believe that volunteers should be running $1 million company. That's their thought process. The unfortunate part is by the time they signed the contract, it was on the 11th hour. There was enough information for everybody to get up to everybody else that was here in Raintree, so people didn't have a real good understanding. And then the vote came last year, and it was kind of like a bundled mess where people felt like the last board screwed them over and left, and they dumped these people on them. And I didn't have myself a good understanding what CPM is or what they do. And I think that we have a lot of different areas that we have boat stickers, vehicle stickers, and the ACC, and people have construction projects and all that. And I learned that CPM has a streamlined way of keeping all that stuff together, which we didn't have. I think that's very important. I think it makes sense because it's one less thing we have. Like I said earlier, I looked at the card from the folks that ran last year, and one of the comments on there was they got rid of maintenance and they got rid of the office. Well, they didn't get rid of the maintenance. And that same person told me how many times, I forget the young lady's name, is it Heidi or Haley? How many times you seen Haley on a snowplow? How many times you seen her cutting grass? She doesn't cut grass. That's not her job. The maintenance people were told ahead of time. They came in. Tom said, "Hey, I'm leaving. You guys need to find somebody," and he left. And he had 2 workers that apparently were sick and they couldn't handle it, and they didn't step up. So it wasn't the board got rid of these people. It was these people just they had other avenues they were going. One guy retiring, the other 2 getting sick. And it's quick for the board now to point fingers and start telling stuff like CPM did this, CPM did that, CPM. If you came to one of the meetings back in July, one of the board members stood up and said, he just sold a property here. And the property that he sold, CPM charged $400. And then they charged a $25 fee for some kind of a condo. What was later found out that his own title company is the one that charged him that, not CPM. But that stuff is told to the people that come to these meetings as a scare tactic to why we shouldn't have CPM. So my answer to you is we need CPM, or a company like CPM that's going to do that stuff and help us as far as navigate through the stuff that, $1 million, $1 million. There's a gentleman, he's not here, I think he's from the other lake. He stood up in the back of the room in August and he wanted to know why that money wasn't an interest bearing, why we're not receiving 4%. We get $40,000 on the $1 million. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know that anybody knows the answer to that. But those are the hard questions we need to figure out. It's our money. It's sitting in a bank. Somebody needs to be making interest on it. It shouldn't be the bank. So.
I'm getting all tied up here. Come on, Linda, help me out here.
Flip them in.
Okay, the way I'm thinking about CPM, for me, it's just too early the jury isn't in on that yet. We are just now finishing up our first year with CPM, and we don't have the figures available to compare it to the previous years when we didn't have a management company. So, but the only thing that really concerned me about the way things were processed was the elimination of the maintenance crew. Pretty much just fell apart after Tom retired. And I think we need to look into possibly getting more people in, maybe permanent employees or part-time employees to work in the maintenance area. But I think it's too early for me to decide whether CPM should stay or go because we don't have the figures in yet, folks. It should be in soon.
My answer is we should keep them. I own property in 2 other places that the same company they manage, and I get monthly reports. So I think, as somebody said, it's really working with them to create the information for our people to share. They have a lot of experience. This is not something new. They manage, I don't know how many different properties in St. Louis and around Missouri. And so, they know what they're doing, they know how to budget, and they have reports available. And I think it's a matter of working together to meet our needs. That's really what it comes down to. But I'm happy with them from the other 2 locations.
And I'm not opposed at all. I'm kind of with Denny as to the jury's out, comparing previous services and monies to what we're getting now. And it's my understanding we aren't utilizing them to the fullest extent. So there's a lot of questions I guess I do have going in that I would like to really dig into and try to at least be super transparent about for sure what money we're spending and why we're spending it, and are we following the proper procedures when we're purchasing and those kind of things. So that's my opinion on it.
I dealt with a lot of contractors that managed at our core sites in the past. Same type of relationship that we have with CPM. What I found was you're always looking at your return on investment. What were you paying your staff before, and what are you paying afterwards? And you have to constantly be on those metrics to see if it's actually worth keeping them on board. The other thing that I would say is what's important is that you manage your contractor. If you just allow them to run and you give them authority and responsibility to do all the things that you have to hold some of that authority in so that you're directing them on what to do. So I can't say that they're good or bad at this point. I was a little skeptical at first, but I think you have to let it go and you have to see what they're doing that actually helps, and you have to manage your contractor. You just can't let them run on their own.
Thank you all for that, Andrew. And my last question, some of you started to touch on it. My understanding is that the CPM contract is separate from the maintenance issue. And of course, when the last board rolled off, there was a bunch of confusion around maintenance. And Tom was retiring and everything. And my understanding was we went into a contract with 1L for snow removal, and then that got, I don't know if violated is the right word, but basically not followed through with. And so we went down a different path. So I'm just curious, especially with as winter's approaching, what are your thoughts on how you would approach maintenance here in Raintree?
First, I alluded earlier to sometimes it's hard to evaluate the financials as we're getting them. And I've gone through these financials and I can't find where it indicates what we're spending on our contractors that we're hiring right now. I can't find it in the numbers. So it's not possible to compare the cost now to the cost then. We all know, and I think pretty unanimously agree, that when Tom was managing our maintenance crew, he knew what he was doing, he was responsive to the community, he totally ethical, and life was good. And I wasn't on the board at the time that he left, but I know that there was some searching about what to do. And right now, I feel like I think going back, we need a maintenance committee. We need better clarity about how our maintenance dollars are being spent. We need the board to have the proper procedure where when we're going to spend more than $2,500, it requires that we get bids from 3 contractors. It's not a matter of you go out and you buy something and turn in a receipt. The board needs to be more involved in the maintenance. I'm open if we have our own maintenance crew, because it worked well for a long time. But it also could really be to our advantage to hire certain things out and let maintaining all that very hard used equipment be the problem of the contractor. So there are pros and cons each way. I just want to make sure that whatever we do, it's cost effective and that we're not just spending money wildly. And I don't think that was going to be the case, but I think it just has to be evaluated.
Regarding maintenance, I've talked to Tom actually a few weeks back, and asked if he would even entertain the idea of maybe coming back part-time, or at least coming back on a committee and helping us a little bit. He shakes his head no, but I think we could probably get him to come back for a little bit. I think it's important, even if he's not a functioning member on the actual crew, but he's got insight, and he said he would be willing to do that to try and help us find it. We have to think outside the box. We have to tap into the colleges when the summertime comes and see if we can't get some of the kids at the college maybe to come in. There's different avenues we could get people to come in here and do stuff. And I think one good thing, and I know this is probably not the best thing for me to do because everybody's up here trying to get voted, but I think getting Denny in is a very important part of that puzzle. Denny knows the streets. Denny's a smart guy. Denny's been around the block. He knows what needs to be done. And I really do think, I think his leadership is going to help the board. For the people that you get in here, I think Denny is somebody that you need to get in to try and straighten the things out that we don't have straightened out.
As far as maintenance goes, I will say, as of 3 years ago, there was a budget for 3 full-time workers and a part-time, like a weekend person in maintenance. And now we have, 2 part-time people doing maintenance? So there is a lot of money that I guess they're saying they're considering that it's savings, but at the same time, the services that we have currently, I don't feel are up to the standards that the people in Raintree would like to see out of their maintenance crew. So I would like to see the maintenance people increase, of course, and like more maintenance being done, and hopefully that is in the budget. So that's my point on that.
My experience with these kinds of things that you have to have a balance between the two. When you let all of your in-house staff go, what happens is you lose all your institutional knowledge. So if you have a strange valve on your dam or some place on the road that's always a problem, if you bring in a contractor all the time, they just don't have that knowledge of where to go and what to have. So it has to be the balance between having somebody here in-house that's working for it and having a contractor to pull on. The thing that I would say, when you buy a lot of equipment, that equipment, even when it's sitting idle, is still costing you money. So you want to try to minimize the amount of equipment that you have and it's sitting idle, and you want to have somebody here in-house that when you need something done, they can do it, or they know the contractor to call to get them over here to get the work done.
Tilly Huff. And for those of you that might need it, there is ice water and lemonade over here. Feel free to go get it. Tilly?
Hi, I'm Tilly Winchester. I just have a question for the whole board. Do you all have time restraints on the amount of hours that you could put in? I'm not saying that you have to have unlimited, but I know when they say, oh, come be on the board, it's 10 to 15 hours a week, that's not right. So I'd like to see if, like, are you still working full-time and it's a kind of like something that you can do, or I'm retired and I've got, 20 hours a week, I can do that type of thing.
I'm fully retired, but having said that, I have a million things going on. You know how it is when you're fully retired. You don't know how you worked before. So, but I think I have enough time to dedicate it to what the board needs.
I am fully retired too, and have a couple things also going on. But yes, I am familiar with the amount of time it takes, and sometimes it's 40 hours a week. And you're responding to a lot of pressure, and a lot of times it's not just coming to a meeting every month, and you have to be prepared for a lot more time than that.
I retired once and couldn't stay retired. Don't know. I just don't have it in me to just sit around. So I get up every morning around 3:15. I leave my house by 4. and I'm back home probably 2:30 in the afternoon. So I have the time. It's going to be in the latter part of the afternoon. So I think anything worth doing is worth making the time for. My wife asked me about that. She says, there's going to be a lot of work. And I said, yeah. And I know that I can do it. And I've had issues before where I've had a lot of things going on at one time and I just happen to juggle and manage them. I think it's perseverance, managing time, knowing what you can, not pushing yourself too much, but making sure that you have what you need.
Yes, I still work 40 hours a week full-time, so, I'm not going to have daytime to be like hanging out up at the POA or anything. But I do feel like him, I'm very active in the community and take time for our community things, so when it's going to be necessary for me to step up and take a little extra time, I feel like I'll be able to do that.
Well, I've been very fortunate. I've been retired for 23 years, and I have plenty of time to serve on the board. But I think the officers of the board are the ones who probably spend more time than anybody else. So, and that's no problem with me, and it's probably no problem with several people here. So, no, there's no issue with my part being full time. So.
I'm still working and splitting my time between here and Creve Coeur. So, I have some limited time, but again, one of the reasons I wanted to be a member is, I care about the community. I care about where our money goes, and I feel like I'm not being told communications nor finances. So I think I can do a better job, even part-time, till I retire, and at the end of the year I'll be retiring.
Okay. I have one more question.
Let me just add on, if you don't mind, an extension to that. Are you available throughout the week? Are you committed to serve the length of the term that you get elected for, barring no major life events?
Yes. Sure. And then the last question I have is that I feel like people talk about me. I was that last board that got the CPM here. Okay, and I was on that board, and as a board member, all the things that we did was purely financial. We looked at what we have coming in and what was going out. CPM, and I think Dave Bowden even confirmed it at the last board meeting, that CPM is saving us approximately $40,000. When it came to the maintenance, we loved Tom. He was irreplaceable, and we knew we could not afford another Tom at today's rates. So that's where 1L came in. We were going to pay 1L based on services rendered. So when they worked, we paid them. If we had maintenance and we didn't have stuff to do, but I think Tom always found something to do. We didn't have somebody sitting, especially in the winter months. Plus the insurance, I can tell you for a fact that we paid $10,000 for car insurance. And you start looking at the numbers, that was the force behind getting CPM. And not being able to replace Tom, the irreplaceable person that we had. We had been fortunate for the 14 years, and he was awesome. But that's how that came about. And I know that we have been told that we're so bad, but it wasn't anything against anybody or anything like that. It was a purely financial decision, just so you know.
Hi, I'm Karen Cote. I just have a question on this last two ballot items, and I don't know if you guys can answer that or not. But the one on 9, where it's the $10,000 for new homes that are being built for the infrastructure, and you were talking a little bit about that, so maybe you'll know. I kind of thought it was a good idea, but everybody on social media is like, no, 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 no. So I just kind of wanted to know about that. And with that is ballot number 8, which is the same kind of thing where it's something about the road cut and them being responsible. I thought they had to do the one in the front of their house when it's built.
Karen, I missed the very first part. Were you asking for clarification?
Just if this, what does it mean? What would the 10,000 go for? And I think we need it, but I don't know if that's the right way to do it.
Okay, and I would just like to suggest, thank you, and we can cover that, but let's do candidate questions now and come back to ballot clarification questions, if you're okay with that. Is there anyone, John?
Okay, I'm John Irvin. I've been out here since 2018. I know 3 of you I feel well, and 3 of you are kind of strangers, but I do recognize you, of course. First question is, and I think it's obvious, and I think you've already answered it, but I'd like to hear it straight out from you, just starting with 1. What actual committee do you think that you would make the most impact in?
I'm not sure, actually.
Not sure. Okay, that's fair. Danny?
Roads, ACC.
Okay. Elaine?
Finance, and I mean, I'm open to
Okay.
working with whoever for whatever.
Okay. Michael?
The rules that we don't have
Okay.
and or follow, and also the security of Raintree itself.
Okay.
Secretary/communications, and I'm also willing to do treasurer finance.
Okay.
Hey, you're gonna stung. I just got back.
Get the ice ready.
I'm serious. He's
Right
up
there?
on your head.
No? Get out of here. Go ahead.
I think I fit well on, obviously, lakes with the dams there, the roads, certainly, they have experience there, and then the finance, because I've experienced in putting financial packages together for organizations like this.
Okay. Follow-up question to that, which is kind of the same thing. Committees are different than the executive committee. Which one of you feel like you'd have a big impact on this first year as part of the executive committee? One?
Finance.
Well, I mean, would you feel like you had a good impact up there that you could control the other, not control the other people, but to work with the other people from the executive level and to be able to communicate to the rest of the community what the executive committee is trying to do? Or do you need more experience?
Oh, no, I have.
That's really my question. Do you feel like you're ready for that now, should you get up there?
I've managed $250 million company, so
Okay.
plenty of experience in finance and operations and all of the above.
Okay. Danny?
Okay, I've been on the executive committee before, 5 years as vice president. So I have no problem working with the other board members, the other officers, and especially committee chairs.
Okay. Elaine?
And same, and also listening to the people, trying to attend as many different types of many meetings as I can to get ideas in, communicate those in.
Okay.
Work on what's good.
Michael?
God is my witness, I have no desire to be an executive board member, and you can hold that to me if I get elected. If I'm nominated, I will reject the nomination. I want to be a voting board member, and I want to work for the people in the community. I think it's going to take 2 or 3 years, if I'm on the board, to get under my belt, to have a full understanding, and then I think you graduate to that. That's why I brought up Danny. You need to lean on people that have been on the board that know what's going on to basically steer your ship and make it go in the right direction.
Sounds pretty transparent there. Thank you.
I think I could hit the ground running.
Okay. And you have experience there already?
I have.
Okay. Joe?
Sure, I've had some interaction already when they asked me to look at some of the dams and give a report at the meeting. So I'm certain that I can do it. But also, I've worked in government, and I've worked representing the Corps of Engineers to public boards and public meetings. So I have a million experiences with having to work with different boards and come to to decisions on how we move forward in different directions.
Okay, speaking of the board and working with those people, right now if I went down the line and said, Juan, a white hat looks terrible on you. Danny, why are you wearing a plaid shirt? You ought to have better shoes on. I don't even know why you don't dress a little better. Pink and pink, does that really match? And Under Armour hat, why is that? So if I was a board member, if I was a board member saying that, how would you come back to that? Because, as we all know, at least I think we know, there is a lot of dissension in the current board, a lot of lack of communication in the current board. Would you be able to handle that, and would you be able to stand up to it? And believe me, you can stand up to me all you want, because I ain't nothing.
Absolutely. Again, I've managed all kinds of people, and I know some of the references you referred to, and it's all about talking to people and trusting and calling time out and allowing other people to speak. One person can't control the room.
Thank you.
I don't think I have any trouble coordinating myself with the other folks on the board, people who maybe object to what I think.
Oh, and I'm sorry, is everybody hearing this? They've had the microphone before. Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to, I just realized it. Everybody know me, don't you?
Gosh, let me get out of here.
Sorry about that.
Okay, we got it. Okay, you have to respect the thoughts of your other board members. They have good ideas. According to them, it's good ideas. They might not agree with my ideas, but we hash things out. You have to discuss things. You don't need to rush into a vote right away on things. I come up with an idea on something, and a couple of the board members disagree about it. Well, let's think about it for a month. Let's table the thought. We'll come back next month, and maybe we can resolve things at that time. So I don't see a real issue with that. So. Okay.
I'm more than happy to work with people that I agree with and also people I don't. I've worked in medical offices as a biller, and I know how to talk to people in a respectful way, and have handled a lot of angry type, people that I'm usually able to resolve in a very calm and peaceful manner. I'm open to ideas, and I'm not going to discard anybody's based on who's given it and that kind of thing. So I'm open to working with anybody.
For me, this is like a beach ball, and I'm hitting it with the big bat. 31 years, I've been called everything but what I am. Traffic stops to domestic violence calls. I've seen it and heard it all. You have to have pretty thick skin to be able to deal with people in hostile, heated situations all the way down to when you go to court. So I don't have a problem working with other people. I think communication is the number one aspect in any relationship, and I think that common ground and making sure that other people are allowed to speak and you listen to what they have, being a good listener is very, very important.
I know well that you're not always going to have agreement across a board, but the best way to diffuse is to always be respectful and maintain your dignity. And so I think those are the two main things to getting along among different ideas.
I negotiated construction contracts across the world and dealt with politicians at every level of government, so I've been insulted by experts. I don't think they can throw anything at me here that could possibly match what I've been told in the past. I'll just tell you what is always the little voice in the back of my head. As you're getting insulted, I always think to myself, preserve the relationship because you're trying to reach a goal. Preserve the relationship, no matter how badly you're insulted.
Okay.
I'm not done. Of course I'm not done. One follow-up to that, since you all kind of mentioned being basically called a bad name, whatever, thrown at you and everything. So, one of you has to continue this year, because last year after I did this kind of questioning, I was called one of those A words by one of the board members that is in. Story closed on that. Last is, I want you to look at the crowd, and we were talking about how to get people motivated, more residents motivated. What's wrong with the demographic in this area?
Right here?
Yeah.
Everyone cares.
Middle age.
It's here. Or what?
Middle age. Oh, okay, good. Whew, that's better than I use. Is anybody here under 40? 50? 60? Okay, so that's the problem, I think, is that those people that are down there right now at the beach and driving by us in their golf cart, those are the ones that either don't care or they're probably not going to be part of the 400 votes that are going to come in this year. Hopefully you can reach out and get them to vote for you and for the ballots and for the betterment of the community. I think I'm done. Thank you.
Any other questions for candidates?
Yes.
Yes.
John, that was great about the 60-year-olds, everybody being here. Yeah, no. I'm sorry. You know. So my name's Ken Jarris. Imagine I got something to say. You know, so I'm at most of the board meetings. Joe, Juan, thank you very much for joining, getting up there. Dave, I hope that you, as stepping down, I hope that you still stay in on other committees. It's important for people that have been on the board to continue the relationship with the board. There's been several board members that leave and you never see them again, and I hope that you'll stay on and continue serving in some form. You know, Joe, I didn't know that you were on Lakes and Beaches. I haven't been to any Lakes and Beaches meetings because we don't have any Lakes and Beaches meetings. We only have the ACC meetings right now, which I'm part of. They got rid of the rules. They got rid of it. I can go on, but I think it speaks volumes that only 6 of the 9 people showed up today. It's amazing that it takes so much time to be on the board, and yet these people, they don't even want to come in and face questions for whatever reason. And not only that, but I looked at the candidates that were also that were running, and I didn't recognize them, that they were at any of the board meetings ever. So that was just something else that I just wanted to say.
In the parking lot.
Yeah. So, Deb, for you, Chipmunky and the monthly date update things, I would love to see that come back. What was it? The news, the roundup, the Raintree roundup. We had no communication at all this year from the board. None. We had no budget. And Dave, Denny, I just want to tell you thank you for speaking the truth, that we have no money and that we need more money to continue on, you know, because it is, we're dying a slow death. And Mike, thanks for being honest and saying that you don't want to have any part to do with the executive board, that you're not ready for it. I get that and I appreciate that very much. That's all I really had to say. I didn't really have a question other than to just say thank you to both of you guys for stepping forward and doing it. Okay? Thank you very much.
Candidate question, yes?
Oh, my name is Betsy Harlan, and I just forgot what my question is. I wanted to make a couple of comments, and I do have a question. I'm just trying to remember it. First of all, my comment is, from an outsider looking in, I have volunteered to help out in the office on several occasions when Haley needed help, and it was like before the 4th of July, and everybody waited until the last second to come get up their stickers. So this comment is regarding CPM. Having worked there for the last 2 years, one before CPM and one after CPM, I can definitely state that I noticed a great difference in the office. When I worked up there 2 years ago, you'd walk in the office, there would be stacks of paper piled all over the floor, checks lying everywhere around on the floor, in baskets and everywhere else, and never getting deposited for at least 6 months. It was chaotic, it was a mess, and nothing was getting done. After the board and all the paperwork, when CPM took over, all the paperwork got out of there. It now runs like a very well-oiled machine. People coming up there really like the fact that they have Stan, that they can pay their dues online. The only thing they don't like is having to mail their check to someplace in Arizona. I believe if you ask CPM, they have a reason for that, something to do with their structure, but I don't remember the specific answer. So I just wanted to make that comment. My other comment is to you, Joe, maximum foreseeable loss. That's what you have in the Corps of Engineer. I was an underwriter for 30 years. We have something called probable maximum loss. Same concept. However, probable maximum loss doesn't maintain the same from 1 year to the next because, as you well know, the world is not staying the same. Hurricanes aren't staying the same. Flash flooding isn't staying the same. It's all changing. So some dam that was designed 30 years ago isn't going to meet the standards that's necessary for today. I live in the forest, and every time it's flash floods, Forest Drive goes underwater. For a good half hour to an hour, you can't drive down the road. There's at least 2 homes that can't get in their driveways or out of their driveways. One of them has water come across the front of their yard. It comes with a lot of force. You can't get your car down there. If you had a trailer or something parked on one of those lots, I would be willing to bet you it'd be down in the middle of the lake. So I want you to take that into consideration when you're thinking of what you're doing. I still can't remember my question. So I guess that was just my point. Just from outside looking in, I wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
Hi, and my name's Kim Seabaugh. I've lived here for 20 years, and I know it's not on the ballot this year, but last year the big item was the all-for-one for Raintree, and I'd like to know how each of you feel about that item that was on the ballot last year. Would you have voted for it or against it?
It was called All In.
Sorry, I should know that.
We were on the team. We nicknamed it All In for Raintree, but it was called All In on the ballot. So you want an answer from everyone.
I did vote for All In on my ballot, and I thought it was very well planned. It was carefully laid out how the money would be spent, budgeted. There wasn't anything vague about what would happen to the money. I thought it was a good plan, and I was disappointed that it didn't pass. And I think a lot of the reason it didn't pass is that postcard was put in a lot of mailboxes that said vote no on everything. And I think that is a human weakness, that people who haven't been very involved and haven't been paying attention find it a lot easier to vote no than actually find out if that's the answer that would be best for them. So I'm for it, and I just adding on to that, if this assessment passes with this election, and if I'm on the board, one of the first things that we need to do is plan a budget and how that money, which wouldn't come in till a year from now, but plan how that would be spent so that it's not just added into a bucket to be spent as we go. We need a plan.
I had mixed feelings about it. I can tell you I did vote against it. The reason after I talked with my neighbors and considered it was, I wasn't certain about how each lot would have to pay, and that particular portion of it I had some concerns with. The other thing that I thought about was for the folks that aren't here, the ones that are in their 40s and have the families, every time you have to raise their the amount that they have to pay, they're looking at a different budget than we all are looking at. I'd say the group in here is probably fairly well off. So I thought as far as selling it to the community that it probably wasn't there.
Earlier, I said I would, when I went up to the POA office in the parking lot, I didn't know enough about it. I had just moved in the month prior. So for me, the answer was no, and that was because I didn't know enough about it. And I felt that if I answered no, and then I found more about it, and it went up again this year, there would be a different story. So I voted no only because I didn't know enough about it, being here less than a month. I think what's important, what we must, the folks here need to do and demand is we need to start in April for what's coming up on the ballot.
Yep.
So we're not doing this, somebody needs a question answered on something that's going to be, voted on this coming week. Everybody here deserves to know the understanding of what's on the ballot. And from what I understand, just history-wise, when the ballot items come in from the residents, they're talked about by the board members, and they discuss them, and they put them in some type of an order, and they say yay or nay if that's something that's good for our community, or they vote against it. A good vote for a community with 9, the president does not vote, so you have 8. You should have a 7-1 or 6-2 vote. Most commonly, that's the way it should be. And that way you're getting the right people voting for the right things. And this divide where it's 4 against 5 and 4 against 4 and the president has to constantly come in and vote, and it's the left against the right or the right against the left, whatever you want to have it. So I think it's important, April, May, we need to start that talks that we're doing now about what's on the ballot so everybody has a full understanding. And I think it should just be more than just a one-time thing. I think this goes back to communication and community involvement and getting people involved.
As far as the all-in, I did not agree with everything, as you hear, it's all in. There was a lot of different facets to it. I was not 100% in favor of all of the things that were happening at the time. So, yes, we did vote for all in because the money has to come, because right now the money that we have is not sufficient to handle what we need in the community. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, I did vote for the all-in, realizing how much money we needed for roads, how much money we need for lakes, dredging and so forth, cleaning things up. So I voted for the all-in. We needed that money for several years. Same amount, I think it was $1,200. It was $1,200 for the all-in. I don't remember, 1,000, whatever it was, but it's something that the association needed, and we're getting inundated with bugs up here, so excuse us. But anyway, I did vote for that, and with the realization that we needed a lot of money to do the roads. If you go back, getting away from Autumn Lake here, and go back in sections 17, 18, and 19, and even Forest Drive, getting back in those areas, those roads are totally atrocious back there. The association needs to do something about it, and you guys are the association, so I hope you do. Thank you.
It was also my first year, and I wasn't familiar with all the needs and where the money was going, but I thought it was a good thing. And the reason for that is I compare it to 4 other properties where there are fees, and believe it or not, this is the lowest fee that we're paying. Incline Village just spent 5 years ago spent $800,000 to clean half their lake. Their lake is somewhere between this one and Spring, where I live. And it was a one-time, two-time assessment, so it was broken into several payments. I don't want that. I don't want to pay $500 or $800 or $1,000. I'd rather pay on a budgeted process. And so when I saw that, this is the most beautiful property. I'll tell you, when I started looking, initially I wanted to go down to the Ozark. I spent time there. I said, this is crazy. My grandkids can't be here. Then I drew a 100-mile radius around Creve Coeur, and I visited every property, every lake property in Illinois and here in southern Missouri, and we ended up purchasing here because it's the most beautiful one. And it's well taken care of. You go to Lake Capri, it's a nice lake, but the house next door could be the biggest mess. I don't want that. I don't think any one of us want that. And so, you know, I looked at it, we purchased here, and I said, I'd rather pay $10, $20, $30 more every month than somebody come along, and it's going to happen. We're going to have to clean the lake, or we're going to have to fix a dam, or we're going to have to fix the roads, and I don't want a surprise. And so, to me, that was the reason I was in favor of, you know, the all-in-one, as you call it.
Any other candidate questions? It looks like there is. Oh, good. Betsy?
My question is, how many of you are in favor of restricting the amount of time that people in the open forum can speak to 2 minutes? Good, none of you. Okay. And my next question is, how many of you are in favor of the board continuing to keep on a workers' compensation policy, paying $7,000 plus for that workers' compensation policy when there are no employees of Raintree anymore? Nobody's in favor. Okay.
Any other candidate questions? Questions for the candidates? And while you're thinking about it and coming on forward, I'm just going to recap a little bit. I am looking at the newsletter we all got in the mail. So going down from the top, candidates, Amy Ham, are you here? Okay, because I don't know who you are and we may have missed you. Joe Kellett is here. Brian Ochoa, are you here? Okay, not here. And, you know, totally people have other commitments. Tammy Tyndall, not here. Michael Vaughn, no. Michael Martin was here, going down the newsletter. Denny Schwantner is here. Deb Anderson, Elaine Hayes, and Juan Lopez. So these are all the candidates that participated in Meet the Candidates. No other candidate questions? Questions for the candidates? And Karen, I don't see you here. You asked for clarification of ballot items. Is Karen still here? She left. Okay.
Then we had another board member show up also. So now we have 3 current board members.
3 current board members.
And I, for one, would like to thank them for
Kent Campbell, David Bowden, and John Willett, current board members came. If any of you remember what Karen's questions were regarding clarification, maybe we could talk about them, but that's just in case anyone, if you need clarification regarding the ballot items, please email the board at raintreepoa.net, and someone hopefully will get back to you. The other thing, on behalf of the volunteers, I will tell you at the POA office, please do not wait until Sunday to vote if you can avoid it. It's going to be a long line. It was last year. It cuts off at 2 o'clock. If you're not registered by 2 o'clock, you will not have an opportunity to vote. Anything else?
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.